Stunning report just out. It shows a record-shattering 6.6 million Americans filed for unemployment benefits last week.
Like many places around the world, all non-essential stores and businesses were shut down in New York City. Restaurants forced to stop normal operations are among some of the hardest hit. Thousands of the city's small businesses, many already struggling before the pandemic, now face a near impossible road to recovery.
Well, right now we'd be serving brunch at this point, getting ready for dinner. So dinner, we'd probably have 4 or 5 more cooks and, like 6 or 7 more staff in the front. Probably getting ready to cook for at least 100 people. It's a pretty busy restaurant with a lot of employees that would be working right now in this kitchen.
Chef Jamie Young was running a popular hangout in Brooklyn.
We have a couple things that I think really resonated with the neighborhood. So we had our pancakes, hazelnut maple praline. We had a pretty extensive cocktail program with a pretty killer Bloody Mary. I mean, the first week, we weren't really sure. A lot of mixed messaging coming out of the federal government. We weren't sure exactly how quick it might spread or wouldn't spread, or this business, the margins are so tight. So like, you tell us we need to shut down for a week. We're like, how are we ever gonna recover from that? So this is our second floor dining room. It's always very bright and airy in here. It feels really light and fun. Someone described how they redid this as Spanish farmhouse meets Star Trek. We started to feel irresponsible. At that point, you just realize how little you could control and how responsible you are for all the guests that are coming into your establishment. So we decided to shut it down so we could make sure we don't add to the chaos. Especially being a new restaurant, we had almost 200 people, not including the staff, coming in and out of that space. That 200 people could easily translate into a spread of 1,000. And this year we were on track to trying to pay back our investors. We're trying to secure loans to be able to open up. As soon as you open the doors, you need to start paying your purveyors again. Best case scenario, honestly, I have no idea. I personally don't know how people will feel safe in a social situation in any capacity, restaurant or not, unless there's a clear treatment. Just going by the facts here, like if you are sitting at this table and someone is sitting at that table and this table doesn't exist, it doesn't matter. We're in the same room for an hour plus, eating, breathing, all of that, and you're not going to eat and drink with a mask on. Restaurants that don't have deep pockets probably won't survive. When you lose all the small businesses, you lose the vibrancy and the soul of a place. I mean, it seems for a long time now, New York has been pricing out small businesses and unique people that create experiences that are unique. Men and women have been working with us for a while now, just to tell them that they're sorry we have to close, like we can't pay you anymore.
Out of funds and options, Jamie was forced to let his staff go.
One of my cooks has been with me for 2.5 years. He just had a baby. I'm sure he didn't see this coming, right? So I don't know how well they anticipate or save money, if they can save money. It's so expensive here. I feel it feels terrible. I mean, we try to treat people well here because we treat our workers like family. I care about these people, and there's nothing I can do about it. It's you feel helpless. You try to figure out, well, how can I open up fast enough to get these guys working again so they can make a paycheck.
New York State now has more reported coronavirus cases than any country in the world. Let that sink in for just a second.
New Yorkers donate everything from blood and plasma to supplies for hospitals and food banks. Retired medical workers and civilians volunteer their time to help overworked nurses and doctors fight this virus.
I am a chef by training, and we focus heavily on gastro-diplomacy missions around the world to lift people out of poverty through food.
The Migrant Kitchen Foundation prepares and delivers thousands of meals a day to doctors, nurses, and those going hungry. Chef Nasser Jaber started this service when the quarantine closed his catering business.
Today, the output is 3,000. We started off with 450 plates, and we geared up on a weekly basis since 3 weeks ago to where we are now. The goal by next Friday to get to 6,500 plates a day. If things do get worse, then my goal is to hit 15,000 plates a day.
Well, let's see. It looks like everybody has potatoes, but we have more to do. Like a lot more?
I don't think so.
Essentially, we were doing corporate lunch pop-ups, and basically we were getting quarantined, so we were like, what are we gonna do? How can we help? So we put up this idea thinking, how many people can we feed a day? And it started out like 100 to 200 based on how much stuff we had left over that we were planning to sell. And we decided it would be better to give to those in need. So for me, American cooking, like a lot of people think it's hot dogs and hamburgers. For me, America is a compilation of all of the cultures that come here, right? So essentially I take recipes from Spanish, Mediterranean, Italian, general American fare, and just basically put them all together to make one cohesive style.
Funded happened through GoFundMe. This was an opportunity for the community, the Palestinian community and the Latino community to come together because they were consistently under attack by the current administration, to be like, this is a chance for us to give back and show our humanity. You'll have to wait until the doctor comes down? We always used to say the subway is the ultimate equalizer. Rich or poor, you ride it. But the truth of the matter is this virus was the ultimate equalizer, right? It didn't matter your socioeconomic class. It didn't matter what your skin color is. It didn't matter your religion, your gender. It attacked anyone. It's an equal opportunity attacker, right? And nobody was secure. But it definitely proved that if you don't have access to healthcare, if you don't have access to food security, if you don't have access to basic human rights, we got exposed. And not just on a scale of a malfunctioning system, but we also got exposed as an industry, right? We got exposed about the fact that you get star chefs who get the attention, but undocumented workers feed you, right? Who are the essential workers? The farmers, the janitors, the couriers, the people who were always dismissed by society. But if it hasn't been for these 8 guys, today 3,000 people won't eat.
During this time, medical workers had little time to buy or cook meals.
COVID units at very highly stressed hospitals like Mount Sinai are under heavy stress. They're definitely being overworked. They're definitely being under a lot of stress. But they're definitely doing much better because they have resources more than hospitals that don't have a lot of resources like Lincoln, where some nurses are wearing garbage bags to protect themselves.
Yeah, now the coriander you got over there.
Okay.
We were the first ones to feed healthcare workers. The next stop, the jobless. Worse since the Great Depression, we're gonna have bread lines out the window and somebody needs to feed them. So we are preparing for that for the next step. I think New York is gonna change. 75% of the restaurant industry is gonna fail. So you're talking about a lot of culture being canceled. A lot of pop and mom shops are gonna lose business. But I think to me, the most important thing is how can we inject more equality?
First quarter of 2020 ended today, and it was the worst first quarter ever on the Dow.
COVID-19 has wreaked havoc on the world's largest stock market. Unemployment has jumped into the millions, and on Wall Street, there are fears of an unprecedented economic downturn.
I will tell you, it feels really weird, but this is like completely deserted.
Tim Anderson works on Wall Street for an investment firm.
The financial industry employs hundreds of thousands of people in the metropolitan New York area, and anywhere from banks and brokers and mutual fund companies, stock processing companies, and printers for prospectuses for new deals. Just so many tentacles that shoot out, everything that's services.
Healthcare workers checked traders' temperatures before allowing them on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. After a couple of days, they were forced to close because some became infected.
Well, as you can see, it's turned it into a pretty much a ghost town right now. And the impacts is very, very difficult to measure economically on a week-to-week basis. But I think that it's certainly a bigger hit even than the 9/11 terrorist attacks, which tens of thousands of people working in Lower Manhattan a week after the 9/11 terrorist attacks. This has been going on now for a month. It has created a tremendous amount of volatility, initially on the downside. 2 weeks before the sell-off started, the major market averages for the Dow, the S&P, the NASDAQ composite had all just made all-time highs. And then just the selling that caught a lot of investors off guard. That's why we had a 30 to 35% decline.
After 2 months, traders eventually came back, but with an economy almost as large as Canada's, New York City's financial stability now hangs in the balance.
We're not going to have perfect answers from all of this. I think it takes, a lot of common sense and a lot of input from experts on the economy, experts in the medical field, experts from state and local governments to just come to this reality that, look, we're going to reopen, we're going to have outbreaks, we're going to have other issues, but we've kind of got it under control now. We've got, tens of millions of masks. We've got tens of millions of protective gear. We've got plenty of hospital capacity. We have a real good idea of what drugs might work for what different people. Maybe it varies according to what pre-existing conditions you may have. We can't make the cure or the process of getting through this worse than the actual virus.
Yes, I do think New York City will recover, but I think it's going to take years and years and years. That's really hard.
Even as businesses slowly reopen, some say the city that never sleeps looks more like a city sedated. Yet New York has proven many times before it is resilient.
New York's going to recover. New York will recover. It's like when you recover from anything traumatic, there'll be a scar, and hopefully we'll learn from this.